What up guys, it's Stickman here, and guess what? We're turning into a mobile games guide channel. Hold on, I can explain. Okay, well, I guess it's too late. Sonic the Hedgehog, pretty great franchise. Angry Birds, it exists. Now imagine if we combine these two together. What do you get? A collaboration of all time. Back in 2015, we got our first look at what an Angry Birds and Sonic I'm already awake! As I was saying, we got our first look at an Angry Birds and Sonic collaboration with Sonic Dash and Angry Birds Epic crossing over. Personally speaking, I wasn't around for this event because, well, I sort of stopped liking the Sonic series in the 2010s because it was going in a direction that I wasn't really a huge fan of, so I never tried this event, and that's exactly why it's not going to be included in today's ranking video. Fast forward to today where Sega bought Rovio, and it took until 2024 for us to finally get our first official major Sonic the Hedgehog and Angry Birds collaboration event, featuring 5 different games to try out all these events in. The event ran from March 14th to March 21st, and it recently ended, so now I think it's time we rank every single one of these events featured in Angry Birds 2, Angry Birds Friends, Angry Birds Dream Blast, Sonic Forces Speed Battle, and Sonic Dash. Now, because I'm more of a bad news first, good news later kind of guy, I think it would be best if we rank them from worst to best. And boy, do I got a lot to say about the worst. Without further ado, let's jump into it. Coming in at the number 5 spot for the absolute worst, and I do mean worst, mobile game on this list, Angry Birds 2. I got a lot to say about you, buddy. Now, I grew up in the era when the mobile game market was first starting out, so I was able to experience classics like Temple Run, Jetpack Joyride, Subway Surfers, all the way back in the day. Fruit Ninja, I could keep going on and on. And of course, that means I played the original, iconic mobile gaming juggernaut, Angry Birds. The premise was pretty simple. You had some birds, you had a slingshot, they basically all had different abilities. You flung the birds at some piggies. When all the piggies were dead, you win the level. That was all there was to it. It was pretty simple, pretty fun, and pretty addictive. Rovio then went on to make some other Angry Birds games which were pretty successful as well, you know, some spin-off games, but apparently they never really made a sequel up until Angry Birds 2. And I really wish they didn't. When I first booted up the game for this event, I was mesmerized because I was just like, oh my god, this looks just like Angry Birds, but even cooler. I mean, look at these graphics, look at the art style, this is gonna be so good. I was filled with a false sense of hope because once I eventually started playing the game, I realized it was dog. Now don't get me wrong, like I said, the game does look really good graphically, and I would argue that it's even more fluid mechanically than the original game, but what were they thinking with these design decisions? I mean, they've got an energy bar that prevents you from playing more than 6 times per session, and then you've got to wait, because when the energy bar is empty, you've got to wait for it to slowly regenerate point by point over the course of like, what, a couple hours? I mean, if I want to play the game right now and I didn't have fun in my 6 playthroughs, what makes you think I'm coming back in another 6 hours? And instead of how it worked before, where you had multiple different birds allocated to each level, now you're only given a certain amount of birds in a loadout system where I guess you can like pick which bird you want to go first. That's pretty cool, but like the problem is, I always feel like they never give you enough birds to complete these multi-phase stages. And I definitely feel like this was done by design because every single time you fail a level, you get a prompt telling you to either watch an ad to continue or cough up the dough, baby, pay up that moolah. And speaking of microtransactions, this game does not hold back, not in the slightest. I know we all know that the mobile gaming market isn't exactly the most consumer-friendly one. I know that we all know it's basically the most notorious cash grab of all time, but even then I feel like Angry Birds 2 still takes it too far. Let's say you failed a level. Hey, you wanna buy this? You wanna play another level. Hey, you wanna buy that? You boot up the app. You wanna buy this? You wanna buy that? You wanna buy this? You wanna buy that? You wanna buy that? Make it stop! And that brings us to the event itself. You've got different hats, which are basically skins for all the different birds to collect, and they're really cool until you realize how you go about unlocking them. First, you've got to beat at least over around 80 different levels to unlock all the keys to get all the birds that are a part of this event before you can actually start getting the hats for them. And because I didn't have Melody, there was no way I was even going to get the cream hat. So that's one of the outfits I'm never going to be able to get with this event, which is pretty cool, right? Well, guess what? There's another one that I won't be able to get, which is Big's outfit for one of the birds in the game called Terrence.
This guy's a gangster? His real name?
Terrence! To unlock the outfit, you're going to have to beat 7 different levels, which are only available to birds that have a Sonic outfit exclusively. So if you only ever get 2 hats, good luck, because you're never getting this. I think this event should be equally as accessible to hardcore players as it is to casual players. And so you're wondering, how do you unlock the hats in this event? Well, you see, You know the Sonic Runners roulette table? Yeah, think of that, but 10 times worse. You've got to participate in the Tower of Fortune, which is exactly what it sounds like. You've got 4 different cards that you've got to pick from, and every single time you pick a card that isn't a pig, you will continue to climb the tower 1 elevator level at a time. The higher up the tower you go, the better rewards you get. You can select any of the cards in the tower levels to get some really cool rewards, and as long as it isn't a green pig, you're in the clear. But every time you pick a green pig, all of the rewards that you got are lost, unless you continue and then quit. So there's huge risk versus reward here because you could go up to like 30 levels and have so much cool stuff, but the second you touch a pig, it's over. You lose it all. All of those rewards are gone. You're back to being broke. Unless you've been grinding this game religiously for like the past month to where you've got enough gems to be able to continue, or you've paid enough money to get those gems to continue. And the worst part of all, you've only got a couple of chances each day to be able to play these until you've got to wait 20 more hours, or of course, all of the hats are going to be on levels known as jackpot levels, where they're actually nice enough to not put pigs in the card deck. On those levels specifically, the thing is, it can still be random which card you pick, and you might not end up getting the Sonic themed hat. Unless you're on some of the highest jackpot levels where they guarantee it, but good luck getting up there. There are some other currencies that can be bought or earned after a seriously long grind, such as entry tickets to the Tower of Fortune, or express tickets that let you get up to level 30 right away and skip to the good stuff. But the thing is, I think this whole hat system is completely flawed. They should have made you do other things like beat tournaments or something, I don't know, like daily challenges. Literally any other way to get these hats would have been more fair. Turns out there is another way. This skin is the price of a full AAA game, bruh. Needless to say, I only ended up getting Sonic, Tails, and Rouge. Unfortunately, couldn't get any of the other skins. Oh, and finally, there's also a Green Hill shop that lets you purchase upgrades to the skin so that you can get even more of them for your bird. And of course, I went with the most logical choice first. Alright, so coming in at the number 4 spot, we've got Angry Birds Dream Blast, and in my opinion, this one was just kinda boring. Out of all the games on the list, Angry Birds Dream Blast is actually the least Angry Birds-like game because the gameplay itself is more like a match 3 game similar to Bejeweled or Candy Crush, where you've got to match bubbles in order to eliminate a certain amount of them on screen. Anytime you match a lot of them, you get some birds. The more birds you match, the more powerful birds you get, and therefore the more things on screen you can take care of. So the gameplay loop is different. I wouldn't say bad, but just kind of boring. So when I first booted it up, I was kind of confused because I didn't even know where the Sonic event was, but it turns out you had to beat the first 30 levels in order to unlock it. And when you're finally in, well, you're greeted to a cool looking animation and render of classic Sonic, I guess. And bro is not listening with the way those headsets are positioned. Or talking for that matter, with that mic closer to his nose than it is to his mouth. Actually, hold up now. Classic Sonic doesn't even talk anyways. Why even give him a headset with a mic? This makes no sense! So how the event works is you're going to be in a race with a bunch of other people to complete as many levels as quickly as possible. The first one to beat 15 levels first will get the best rewards. Placing second, third, or lower will get you lower tier rewards depending on your placement. Other than getting this pretty cool looking classic Sonic icon, that's pretty much all there is to the event. At least it didn't actively frustrate me like with Angry Birds 2, so I'll give it that, but it's just really boring. Coming in at the number 3 spot, we've got Angry Birds Friends. Now this feels the most like classic Angry Birds, so it's pretty alright. To get to the event, you've got to get to level 10 on this tower. Don't worry guys, this is a different kind of tower. When you get in, you'll get to play some cool looking custom levels that are themed around Sonic the Hedgehog. It's really fun because the gameplay is traditional and feels the most like classic Angry Birds, so you're gonna have a good time, and it's got some funny references in there like the no fun sign. You can also see Sonic and friends chilling in some of the levels, so yeah, that's pretty much it. It's an alright event. Coming in at the number 2 spot is a really interesting pick, and I think it's going to be controversial, but hear me out guys. Sonic Forces Speed Battle. I didn't expect to like this game as much as I did, considering how little I've played, but it's definitely better than the Angry Birds games, that's for sure. Sonic Forces Speed Battle, or better abbreviated to Sonic Forces Mobile now, is a game that allows you to play as multiple different characters and race other people online. The more races you win, the more trophies you collect, and the better rewards you get. that's pretty much all the gameplay loop is. So the event adds Chuck and Red from the Angry Birds movie as playable characters, and they're pretty cool. To unlock them, you're gonna have to collect 300 character cards for both of the characters, and it is a little bit of a grind, I'm not gonna lie, but with the way the event works, I feel like they do give you just enough cards to make it in time. You get the cards from the event itself, which are missions that show up every 4 hours, and every time you complete a mission, you get some cards, then you gotta wait another 4 hours, or you can spend 5 red star rings to instantly replay the mission. You can keep spending even more red star rings, but honestly, I think 5 is more than enough. You also get a lot of cards from challenger chests because Red is considered a challenger character. It's a lot harder with Chuck since you're limited to the event, but I got Red in about 3 days and he's pretty fun to play as. He's got some pretty cool items like sending out a red slice, building up walls, or actually getting flung by a slingshot to boost forward. I thought that was kind of funny, but it's actually really good too. It's borderline overpowered. And the best part about the event is even if you don't end up unlocking the characters, you can still take part in free trial runs and get to experience them anyways. That's how I ended up playing as Chuck. So even if you don't want to grind, you can still enjoy the event. So yeah, this was actually really fun. And finally, coming in at the number 1 spot, we've got Sonic Dash. Sonic Dash is an endless runner, similar to games like Temple Run, and it's a lot of fun because you get to play as so many different characters from the Sonic franchise and run for as long as you can. It's got that classic old school mobile game vibe where you're always trying to beat your highest score, so it's inherently just addictive for that reason alone. How the event works is Red and Chuck are once again available as runners that you've got to unlock by collecting cards. Once you get enough cards, you'll unlock the characters. It's as simple as that. What makes this event the best to me is its accessibility. You can easily get all of the cards in a couple of playthroughs, and if you're really good, in less than a couple hours. There's really only one downside to this event, and it's the fact that there's a daily limit on the number of runs you can have with cards in them. So if you've had a lot of short runs, then you're probably not going to get all the cards in one day. But honestly, Sonic Dash is such an easy game, I highly doubt that's ever happening to anyone. Even if you fail midway through a run, you can just pay some red star rings, which are pretty easy to get, or watch some ads. And okay, well, to be fair, these ads are incredibly mind-numbing. I mean, if I see another Scapes ad, I'm gonna lose it. But aside from that, it's a really fun event. I got both Red and Chuck really easily. But those are my thoughts on all the events. Let me know in the comments below which one you think is the best event. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you for watching this video, and a huge shout out to Sonic Heroes 54 and Azora for supporting the channel directly. If you'd like to become a channel member, be sure to hit that join button, and I'll see you guys in the next one.